Hi, I'm Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and the last sort of week or so I've been working on the schedule, and that's been a very complex process, and in fact it's still ongoing, and it actually will keep on going almost until the day we shoot each scene. How do you do that? Where do you start? It's very difficult because originally when we started with the production we were building the sets, and we decided that during the production itself, during principal photography, that we would move the sets. They're modular. The drift itself would be made of lots of components that we could move about and create different shapes and stuff, different parts of the same ship. So clearly that was an immediate issue, that in terms of how we were going to schedule the shoot itself, we'd have to give ourselves time to be able to move from one configuration to the next, and also ideally to shoot everything in that setup in one go, either in one day or over 2 days, but set it up once, dress it, do all the scenes that apply, and then move all the sets and carry on and do it then. And that's how it sort of started off, and we did some tests about what order should we move the sets and all that kind of stuff. So that was the sort of first area we need to look at in terms of scheduling. The next thing was cast availability. So now moving into the new year, we bring the cast up, we audition, we choose, and all that kind of thing, and then we start looking at what they're available to come and do, and that presents its own challenges. So there has been a few challenges with that, and there always is. But the additional problem we had, which came up at the end of last year, was the whole the fire inspection and the rules about what we can and can't do, how we can build, and the limitations that brought with it. The main one being is that in order for us to continue to build it's very difficult, because you have to bring the materials into the environment, build with them, and then take back what we don't use. You can't just store stuff there, and quite rightly so, it's a fire hazard. So we don't have the resources to be able to do that every time. So that made us have to rethink how we're going to build the other sets that we need to build. So that had to be factored in. And the final thing, which was always, actually, to be honest, always there, was how long we actually had the location for. So we have to be out by a certain time, quite rightly so. Again, we're getting it for free, so we're very grateful for what we're getting, but we have to get out obviously before the deadline. So it's about making sure that we get as much as we can done in that time that we've been allocated. So those are sort of four things, and one of them, third one, was the one we wasn't expecting. So that's been a challenge. We have 106 scenes in the film. It sounds a lot. It depends how you interpret a scene. We've interpreted it as every time you cut from one place to another. So within reason, that's a scene. So that's not to say that if every scene was 2 minutes long, it was 106 scenes. That's like nearly a 3.5 hour movie. So clearly it's not that long. So it's been a sort of balance between the two. I mean, the script evolved, and then we made scene numbers, and we've worked into those scene numbers. So some of the scenes, for example, scene 16 to 28, which means nothing to you, good. Scene 16 to 28 will be shot as a one scene, because actually there's lots of things we can do all together, even though it's chopping and changing. It's all happening sequentially. So I've brought things into groups, which actually brings me on to the schedule itself. So if I sort of show you this is the first thing that I came up with, the first sort of schedule, which is and all that as well. It's quite a lot of stuff. All the 106 scenes. Oh, there, 107. Okay, all those scenes put together, and then in order of of the film itself. So scene from 1 and so on, and then sort of working across. What I've done is that you have the scene number, the description of what happens in the scene, whereabouts it's set. So this scene here, 33, is on Drift 1. The set configuration, which is Drift 1 alpha, the date the set has to be ready for, the day that we shoot on it, what time we're going to shoot that scene, and how long that scene should take to complete. And then along here we've got all the cast and who's needed. So if it's in white, we don't need them. If it's in yellow, then we do. So you can see down here there's obviously a lot going on. And then inside there's a code, which this is for a character called Geek, and it says 1G. So that's his costume arrangement for 1G. So on that one line, there's a lot of information about setting up for that scene, and then times that obviously by all of them. Then the next thing I did was did it all in order, figured out who I needed to do and where and all the rest of it, allocated the costumes and stuff with Boris. Then I started doing the scheduling, bearing in mind those 4 criteria. And then what I've done then is broken that down into groups. So you've got first day of filming here, day 1, then day 2, day 3, and so on, day 4, day 5. That's very complicated. There's a lot of stuff there, and you know, that can actually probably, not say scare someone, but certainly someone who hasn't been involved in filmmaking before, which a lot of the people that we encourage to partake haven't been involved in filmmaking. That's quite daunting. So, and also there's a lot of information there that a lot of people in the crew don't need to know. So you need to be careful about sort of overwhelming them with stuff that doesn't mean anything to them. What you need to do is give them something else that's a bit more simple. So then the next sort of stage from that complex plan is to go to a bit of a simpler one. And this is just basically a list of each day and the thing that's happening. So the date, the time on set, what's going to happen on that day, what cast I need to be there, what crew I need to be there, and then confirmation whether they're going to be there. And I've colour coded it as well. So yellow generally means that we're going to be filming something or rehearsing to film. So this one's this weekend, in fact, on the January the 28th to 29th, it's a full cast rehearsal. So obviously I need all the cast. And all my crew, and it's in yellow because it's filming. And then further down you've got green, and then yellow again, and so on, more yellow and green, yellow and green, yellow and green, yellow and green. But there's also a few bits of white, and the white areas are midweek building and stuff that we need to prepare for as well, which it is another colour basically, so you've got three sort of areas. And then the idea is this goes out on email to the troops, and they can then look at that, and then what they're supposed to do is put their name in where they can make it, and then I can look at that, collate it, and then I know if I've got my cast, which I should have because most of them confirmed, what crew I'm going to have and on what days. So having gone from the actual requirement to now the people I need on this simpler list, you then go down to the next level, which is a call sheet, which is this one here. This is for one day. You get one call sheet per day. So you've gone from the whole movie to the people on the movie across the entire production period to just each day. Now these are only for the days of filming, not the days of set building and stuff like that. It's just as important that we get people on the days of set construction, etc., and preparation, but if they're not there on the day of filming, then we're really in trouble. So this is what we do. We create a call sheet on here, and that's for one day. And on there, you've got things like call sheet, day 1. There's 12 days of filming for this project, and even though there's a date, obviously, for each of them, it's day 1. We just refer to it as day 1. So when you start looking things up, you know we're on day 1, day 2, day 3. It just makes life a bit easier to understand. They keep saying, oh, on the 25th of this, and the 22nd of that, 3rd of this. It's like, oh, what were we talking about? Well, just day 4, day 5. Oh, right, okay. And everything is all coordinated around the days. So you have obviously the production, the date, the production, the big blah here about if you can't make it, let me know, really important, big deal. What cast we need, what costume they want, what props they need, and then we have the crew. Bring it a bit closer actually. So what crew are we going to need, and then on the back, these are all the things. So this has been taken straight from the original schedule, and now it's on the back here. So by the time these get pushed out, because you'll notice there's a lot of empty spaces there, and that's quite right because we're still quite a few weeks away, about 4 weeks away from filming. So call sheets normally we should my experience in the industry is that they're generally issued like a day, 2 days before, which I think is ridiculous personally. Don't see how people can possibly prepare themselves in 2 days, or they knew they were going anyway. Well, if you knew they were going anyway, then why don't you issue the call sheet earlier? I'm sure there's other reasons. Anyway, I like to get these issued at least a week before they go out. Why not? These people need to know they've got lives. They're not being paid. They need to know what's going on. So I'll be issuing these out as soon as possible. But having got all the names of this sheet, or who's going to be here, that's why I need everyone to fill those in. I can then populate what crew roles they're going to do on here, and then I can produce the call sheets and then say, right, thanks for letting me know you're going to be here on that date. Now, when you get here, you'll be doing this job. So they then know in advance what job they're going to do. And the idea then is that they can say, right, okay, how do I use the camera or whatever? And then of course I'll say, well, you haven't obviously watched the videos I've been making on YouTube, so it tells you on there. So that's the idea of that. Right, so that's per day. And then, scene sheet. So basically, we've got right down to the one line one line on here is now another document. And you think, why is all this paper? Why are we doing all this paperwork, Daz? What's the point in that? Is that just, pin pushing type thing, bureaucratic pile of pap? Well, it's not, because when you're actually when you get to actually shooting, you need this information, and it's a check sheet effectively. So it's about making sure you've got your cast for that scene. So it's not about, well, yeah, I've called everyone there for that day, but do I need everybody for that scene? No. I need to have, say, 4 of the characters. So you can literally, off this, for this scene, I can say, have I got so-and-so, such and such, blah-de-blah. They're not the names, by the way. And they're on the list. So if I'm doing it myself, or I've got a production assistant who's doing it for me, or whoever, I can call those people. They can then check that the people who are filming, who are on the crew, are in position. We've got to have the time that we're going to start shooting, the location, how much time has been allocated, all the things we need to know when the pressure is on. We don't start figuring it out and go, oh, I don't know, it's all on the sheet. And then we start thinking about the scene itself. So on the back here, again, it's blank at the moment because this is still work in progress, but things like set issues, that could be anything from, well, it's difficult to light, or we need to make sure it's all taped up, whatever. Camera, dramatic shots, tech notes. So anything like any particular shots that Daz, I really want to get, I can write down there. Any wardrobe prop issues, continuity, stuff like that. So the guy had a black eye in the scene before. You should write down here, make sure he has black eye. That kind of thing. Perhaps refer to a photograph. Sequences, stunts, and pyros. So anything particular that's difficult to shoot, write them down here so I know in advance. And the idea, and then also at the end is a set layout. So basically, like a map will be on there, which is basically the dynamics of what's going to happen on that shoot for that scene. So it could be a map of the deliverance, where the characters are going to go, and all that sort of thing. So the idea is, again, this will be done in advance so that you can give this to your director of photography, you can give it to your crew. So by the time you actually turn up to shoot, everyone should know as much as they can know about what's going to happen. The way I see principal photography is that is the execution of the plan. It's not a rehearsal. You're doing it like on stage. You shouldn't be asking questions about, oh, what's my line, or where do I shoot this, Daz, or what's going on. You don't have time for that, especially what we're trying to do, because one of the other things that's become very, very clear on this particular the scheduling of this film is that we're shooting 12 days, but for every day that we're shooting, the industry, the real big players, they would be shooting this in a week. So what they do in a week, we're going to do in a day, and that's just arguably completely unrealistic. Well, it is if you film it their way. And that brings me on to something else that has also come up this week about expectation of the crew, the people that we have. We have a mixed bag of crew. We've got people who've never done it before, we've got people who have worked with us before, we've got people who've worked on their own films before, and we've got people from the industry, at different areas of the industry, from television to self-employed guys to people from the movie world. So a very broad spectrum of people. And one of the things that I think the guys who are from the industry and from their own companies are going to learn very quickly is that we don't follow the same principles that the industry does, because we can't. Because if we did, we would not get everything done in time, because we don't have the time. We're shooting 12 weeks of footage in 12 days. So, for example, storyboarding. Storyboarding is great. And you need to have some element of storyboard to try and to show your crew what it is you're trying to go for. But to storyboard every single shot is futile for a production like this, because to do so, you're just not going to have the time to set up every single shot like that. So what you need to be doing is thinking about the key shots you definitely want, which is where it comes up on here. I definitely want a close-up of that bloke screaming, or definitely want to have a picture of the hand typing on the screen. Definite shots I need to get. And after that, it's where you discuss it with your crew before, your director of photography and your camera crew, about what you're after. So if you've got, say, guys running through the tunnel, I mean, that's probably going to happen in the movie, okay, what am I going to want? Right, well, okay, guys, I want to have a wide shot of them just running past, I want a pan, I need to have a close-up of each person who has dialogue, I want a reaction shot from each character, and I want a shot of the thing that's chasing them. Right, okay, so let's get 2 cameras in, we'll do the close-ups, just do the scene once with the cameras in close-up, let's do the scene again now with the same 2 cameras in a different position, let's do it again, right, let's do a wide from this position, do a wide from that position, do it again. So we might do a 30-second scene 9 times with the cameras all in different positions. Now, with the notes that I've taken in the script, I know in my head what I want in the edit, but I haven't got time to start shooting that in the order that day, and I haven't got time to start talking about each shot with the crew like that. I just got to say, right, remember what we said? Right, let's get the close-ups in. Let's get the wides in. Let's get that pan in that I wanted. Right, and then we look at our scene sheet. So what else did I want? Right, did we get that shot? Did we get the hand grabbing the foot? Yes, we did. Right, okay. Did we get the guy screaming in pain? Yes, we did. Okay, right. Are we done? Yeah, all the shots done. Wides done. General's done. Good. Happy days. Let's move on. And that is how it's going to be. That's how it has to be. And it's by going through this scheduling process that you sort of figure out exactly how you're going to get it done, because we just don't have the time any other way. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the crew deal with that, because it's not the case of where you have 15 people to help you and it's all like getting you ready for the shot. I've been on shoots where making an advert, a 60-second advert, and it was shot over like 4 days for 60 seconds. And each place we went to, because there was CGI in it as well, which obviously wasn't done there, and that formed part of the advert. The actual live action formed about 30% of that 60 seconds. So, you're talking about 20 seconds of footage shot in 4 days. So that's what, 5 seconds a day. Right. Well, we need to shoot a lot more than that. So it's going to be interesting, I think. So there we go, work in progress. This will all change, it always does. But the idea of this is that you've got the different sort of levels. So you start with the great big, in a nutshell, you start with all the stuff in one place, as with this one, and then you start breaking it down. So that's what you're going to shoot. That's who you need or who you're going to get on each day, as a sort of big picture. That's who you need. That's all the roles they're going to do on that day on the call sheet. Having known what you're going to get, that's what they're going to be doing. And then when you get down to the scene on that day, again, who you need for that scene, who's going to shoot that scene, and what factors do you need to include when you shoot that scene, what are your issues, and in your set layout. So anyway, there you go. So a bit busy, still going to keep going on, but yeah, it's been a busy week. But hopefully that will save us a whole world of pain later on. Hopefully, anyway. So there we go.